Hey, this is Paul. And before we get into this episode, just want to let you know that next week we have our first Ads Summit. Yes, we have over 30 speakers. This is a virtual summit. It's 100% completely free, and you can learn the ins and outs no matter where you're at in your ads journey, whether you're a beginner or if you're intermediate or you're scaling your ads. It's like a buffet. You can pick and choose which speakers, which presentations that you want to watch over the next 3 days. It's coming up this week. So head over to adssummit.com. Again, that's Ads Summit. So that's 2 S's in the middle there. adssummit.com. And we'll see you on the inside.
Marketing and selling is essential in your online business. And when you have the right strategies and mindset, you not only can make a lot of money, but you can change a lot of lives. Welcome to the Online Marketing Podcast, where we help course creators, membership owners, and coaches market and sell their offers.
We're your hosts, Paul and Melissa Pruitt. Let's dive in and get started.
We're jamming on scaling it. Ways to scale your challenge launch.
Ooh, we're going to scale it today?
We're going to scale it today.
Let's go ahead and do it. This is when we take off.
Yes, exactly. This is a really fun part because you've worked so hard on your challenge launch, getting it out there, delivering it, and now we're going to take it to the next level.
Yeah. So there's something to be said to like rinse and repeat. Like you do something and you do it well and repeat it over and over again. But there's a missed opportunity there, and that's to like, we did everything and it worked well. Like, how can we take it up a level? So I'm really excited that we're talking about some key tips today. So let's go ahead and dive into the first one.
Yes. So when it comes to scaling, the number one thing is really all about looking at your numbers. And I know for some of us,
Yep,
that could be a little bit scary. But when you start to look at your numbers, you really can see data, which is going to help you adjust, pivot, make changes to know what you can do better next time.
Yeah, and a lot of times there's a common process that's called debriefing, like a launch, and that's really going back. And you should do this with anything that you do in your business itself, is to go back and reflect back on like the things that went well, the things that you need to adjust and improve and move around. There's different processes of going through that. But when you really look at those numbers, that is where the magic really is, because then it takes the demystification out of everything, the mystery, right? That if you really don't look at your numbers, you're kind of doing the hope and pray method. You're crossing your fingers, you're hoping and praying, like, is this going to work again? Let me throw that Hail Mary again and see if this works. But really launching and like business, when we say that it's a numbers game, really what that comes down to is that it is a process. And a process are, repeatable steps that you can do over and over again for a predictable result, just like you would baking a cake or anything else in like that has a process to it. So really when you look at that first part of scaling, like really, when you really understand your numbers, you then know what what is that next tip?
Yeah. So when you look at those numbers, the next thing that you're able to do is you're going to figure out and eliminate what didn't work. Sure. So that way, when you go into your next challenge launch, you'll know, okay, I definitely won't do that next time. And this is really good, just talking about some of these things with numbers. And for some people, they might just start to cringe and go like, oh my gosh. This kind of works your logical mind a lot, because a lot of times, with any kind of launch or promotion, there's a big emotional element with that. But when you look at the numbers, when you're actually doing this debrief, you're tapping into that logical mind. So you can actually, tap into that and really see logically what makes sense for next time. And it takes some of that emotion out and some of the, the emotional toll it does on us when we go through that launch, because you are going to have those ups and downs with that launch.
Yeah, I think through some of the launches that we've had, we've tried different things. We test and tinker a lot. And sometimes we're in the high level masterminds we're in, we'll get like really cool whiz bang type of ideas. And we come back and we're like, you know what, this makes sense. Let's go ahead and implement this. And then at the end, we take an assessment and it's like, wow, you know what? That created twice as much work.
Yes.
We spent twice as much money. We had twice as much headache. And actually looking at the numbers, it didn't benefit us.
Yeah.
And it's like, why in the world, why we do this? And I think it comes back to, again, knowing your numbers and doing this debrief is you're not just having your head in the sand and going like, I don't really know how that pulled off, whether it was good or bad. And this is just creating an awareness for you to say, hey, here's some elements I can test, tweak, or amplify to take, again, we're talking about scaling here. So it's like some things, while we eliminate things that didn't work well, that gives us back time, that gives us back energy or emotional state. maybe potentially financial, where we can get rid of some things that actually didn't work, that then frees us up for doing what?
Yeah, doing more of what does work. And sometimes that can be really surprising. So it might just be one little thing that you do during that launch that really, makes that big difference. But you won't know that until you actually look at the numbers. And then again, not just getting rid of things that don't work, but do more of what works. And it allows you to simplify things as well too. Because again, this is how you learn. You test things, you see what works, and sometimes it's a big success, and then other times it didn't go so great, but that's okay. You learn from that, and then you just move on.
Yeah, and I think that's also important to know is that this is incremental progress and incremental change. Every time that you do a challenge launch, you're going to have that feedback loop, and you're going to be like, wow, these things did work and these things didn't. And now it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to eliminate these one or two things or these elements, and other things you're like, oh, I'm going to incrementally improve these things. So it's not like you're reinventing the wheel every single time. Mm-hmm. Like you can actually keep improving your wheel. You're refining it as you keep moving forward. And I wouldn't say that it necessarily gets easier over time, but I will say is like, I feel like some of the launches that we go into, it's almost like subconscious now. It's like we don't even have to think about it anymore. It's that unconscious competence now where we just know what we need to do. And it's like you're just hitting that rhythm at that point.
Exactly. And don't let the numbers things scare you, especially if that's not your wheelhouse and that's not normally your go-to. We would just suggest start off with one element of your challenge launch and look at the numbers with that. Look at like what did you do in that aspect? And then go from there to really figure out, to tweak, to pivot, to figure out, again, what makes sense for you. Could be the number of, emails you sent, could be how many times you went on Facebook Lives to promote the launch. Just pick one element of it and then just go from there to really evaluate and see, okay, does this make sense? And not only just, like the numbers as far as conversions too, but also the process too of how you feel. I think that's another aspect that we want to bring in real quick here, because there is that aspect of the conversion of the numbers, but how did you feel in the process? Did it feel heavy? Did it feel light? And a lot of times for us, we like to eliminate things that feel heavy. So, yeah.
And we always say like, keep the emotion out, but we'll say is like all of us have a little bit of a roller coaster ride when it comes into launch. Like we go through the whole cycles of grief up and down, and we're not immune to it as well. Like we've had some ugly cry moments, and where we put all our money in, all of our energy, all of our efforts in, and then we watch like first day sales being one sale. I remember that one years ago. That was a really, really tough time because we were all in financially and time, energy, and effort into a sale. And then what ended up happening though is that at the time, that was one of our best launches ever. I think it was like $135,000, $140,000 launch. It ended up being, but the day one was like one sale, right? But what's interesting is no matter what, is we took back and we learned, we grew from that launch. And that's what allowed us to even have the launches that we have. That was in a whole different niche even. So just something, it's like whenever you pivot or you create a new, like none of us are guaranteed the next launch is going to be perfect. And we always have to go back in and we have to look at like what worked, what didn't work. Like let's lean in and let's put the gas on the things that did work really well. Let's not introduce 1,000 new things to overwhelm ourselves. Like let's bring in one or two incremental things that we know like, wow, this worked really well last time. So let's amplify it. And there's some things that can amplify very quickly. Maybe we should jam on that.
Yeah. So in addition to what you're doing, your efforts, things that you could do to amplify your challenge launch include ads. So paid advertising is definitely a way to get the traffic in, to get new eyes, to join the challenge and bring it to your world. And partnerships too. So partnerships, JV, joint venture, where you partner up with someone else with an audience and introduce their audience to you, and vice versa, usually in some of those cases as well too. So it's just a great way to bring new people into your world and a way to scale your challenge launches.
Yeah, so not everybody knows what JV is, and that just stands for joint venture. And some people don't like the reference to that, where they look at it as affiliate opportunities. So if you think about it, everything that we all do, we go out we put goodness out into the world. It could be podcasts, it could be YouTube, it could be Pinterest, it could be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever your platform is. We're putting all this goodness out into the world. And still, the mass majority of the people that are in our audiences, that are on our email list, that are in our world and our followings, they're not going to buy our things specifically, but they do like, know, and trust us. And a lot of times, like we have part of that audience and they might be interested in something else. Well, we could have other people that we create relationships with that would actually send their traffic, that would send their following into our offers. And that's one of the fastest ways to amplify, to scale up a launch very quickly. But the thing is a lot of it, because we've done a lot of affiliate marketing through the years and very successfully. And most people are going to be very protective of their audiences. So this is why some of the things that we talked about today are really important, because your offer needs to be proven. And that means you need to launch it, and you need to launch it a couple or a few times and really get all the kinks out. You need to have those debriefs. You need to go through the process to really refine so that you do have that predictability in there, because somebody doesn't want to send their hard-earned traffic over to you and hope and pray themselves that they did the right thing. They really want to know that the numbers are going to work. Now, the challenge that a lot of people have is they don't know how to do challenge launches. They don't know how to go through this process and this methodology. And we also, maybe we can go a little bit deeper in the scaling it element for everyone. So Melissa, do we have something? Of course we do. But do we have something that can help everybody out?
We do. We have our Challenge Launch Challenge. And this is a challenge, all things challenges. So go to challengelaunchchallenge.com and you can get started. And we walk you through on exactly how to set up your challenge for success, everything from getting it started to actually filling it up to delivering it. And then what happens afterwards, the things that we've been talking about of how you do those debriefs, how you evaluate, how you look at those numbers so that you can continue successful challenge launches. So again, if you go to challengelaunchchallenge.com, you can get signed up and started with the challenge.
Yeah, I love it today, jamming on all things about scaling that challenge itself. And again, coming back, looking at those numbers, because when we measure things, and that means we can improve them, because we have awareness of what can be adjusted, what can be pivoted and changed. So coming back and doing some type of variation of a debrief, so we get to know what those numbers are doing, so we have a better idea, like what things need to be, of course, potentially eliminated, but then also what we should be double, tripling down on. The things that did work, we need to do that as well. And I think also beyond that, we can amplify even quicker in scaling when everything is dialed in, that we can amplify it with the ads. We can amplify it with partnerships to get the results that we want so much quicker.
This was another great episode. So if you loved what we jammed on, make sure you go and subscribe to the Online Marketing Podcast, where we talk all things with marketing and selling your offers, and share with a friend. Let them know that we're here to talk about your business and really share those opportunities on how to exactly scale and get things rocking and rolling in your business.
Yeah. And until we talk again, remember, you're just one step away from becoming an adaptive marketer.
If you would like to work with us and our team to help you snap up more sales and incredible clients with a stellar marketing strategy that works, go to adaptivemembership.com and sign up for our wait list. We have a limited number of spots in our exclusive program to set you up for success and take action. We're waiting for you at adaptivemembership.com.